For our next session, please welcome Praise Daramola, software engineer at Harmony Venture Labs.
And
Okay.
he goes into the system
I want to
to pull
start
the
by
metrics.
while preparing this presentation, so I like to doodle a lot and I like to create illustrations. So I wanted it to match my art style, so I just gave it like examples of my art, and everything you see here is generated by ChatGPT using like some of the work, and I'm just amazed at how well it did. It was kind of surprising just seeing it for the first time. But so here we go. And, refresh. I was practicing, and there we go. So today I'm going to be talking about something I'm calling play to win, which is just the power of engineering joyful tools that compound over time. And the main reason I'm choosing to talk to it is a lot of the times, I don't know how many of you work in startups here, but a lot of the times you can end up thinking more about the money you're going to make versus how you enjoy what you're building. And I think that in most cases it's productive, but in some cases it can be counterproductive when you're just focused on the monetary goal versus enjoying what you're building. And my thesis is if you enjoy what you're building, you will succeed. That's just what I'm here to kind of quote unquote preach to everyone. So there's a famous Carl Sagan quote which says, in order to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. I do not like apple pie, so I changed mine to, in order to make a sandwich from scratch, you must, and that's what I wrote on our board. And it's kind of it's my philosophy of building. So you have tools that compound. You start small, and eventually it grows into this big thing that seems like, oh, it's always been there, but it actually started from a very small set of components. So how many of you are product managers here? Do we have any? Okay. I'm hard to work with product managers, mainly because I work in prototype land. So if you assign me a ticket, you're probably going to get like 10 other things shipped with that ticket, which is going to increase the amount of time you're spending. But that's my goal. That's what I love. I love building things and starting from scratch, and I get to do that over and over again because of the because of where I work, which I work at Harmony Venture Labs, by the way, just so you guys know. And we're a venture studio here in Birmingham. But my goal is just, sorry, I saw Shagan and distracted me. I'm going to ignore you now. But the best PMs are just toolsmiths. They gather a bunch of tools, if it's engineering expertise or design expertise, and they put those together. So their tools are kind of people, but then the people have their own tools that they use to build things. So this is the script. Ignore the script there. I just wanted to use it for emphasis. But in 2019, we were playing a prank on some of my coworkers, and I built a script called Yell. It increases your volume, says something, and turns it down immediately. And it was just so to annoy we sneakily installed it on one of my coworkers' computer. And eventually we found this tool was also useful because we had a system where to prevent the SSD from getting corrupted, you had to like quickly detach it. So we just added that to the system where it just yells detach and the person removes it. So we gave that to our operations team, and like it was able to improve the work they did. But it was absolutely like we didn't have that idea in mind. We're just trying to play a prank on one of our coworkers, and it kind of spun out from that. So that's one thing. When you build tools as units, you make it where it kind of snowballs. And it starts small. You might say you're saving 5 minutes here with this tool, you're saving 10 minutes here, and eventually, over time, it compounds into something bigger where you just notice you're not taking as much time to produce things you're trying to do. So also that's I don't know how many people are familiar with math terms, but that's just like change in tools over time equals summation of the amount of uses equals money. So I have an idea called the tools universe. We have, there's small things we use on our computers every day. And You have things like Slack. They actually have smaller scripts that run under the hood that we don't notice, but things like alias or that replace the names of tools. You have CLI tools and all that. You have this nice UI, but it's just made of smaller elements that we don't pay attention to. And tools evolve naturally. It all starts small, like someone has an idea, and eventually someone figures out how to put multiple tools together and build applications out of it. For example, this is just a pipes tool that is on every single computer you have, but if you've never been in the terminal, you've never seen it before. But almost every application uses this under the hood to search your file system to find something they need. And Shagun is here, which is nice because he always comes into the conference room when we're working and he's like, are you enjoying what you're building? And he asks that regularly. Even though we're building, like we're a venture studio, so the goal is for our products to make money, but he always asks, are you enjoying what you're building? Like, did you have fun this week? Did you have fun? So it's optimizing for joy prevents burnout when you're trying to build something and it's not just, oh, how many metrics can we hit this week? It's, oh, I'm building this thing because I like it, and a side effect of building it is the success that comes along with it. So a metric for me is what are the users saying about what I just built? Like, if I build something, the money is actually in the background. That's for the other people to manage. If we see a comment or a user message that says, I really love this feature, that's what that's what wakes me up in the morning. It gets me going. I'm excited about that. Money motivates, but joy of creation is almost always a company's success. Like everything you see, Apple was created because Steve Jobs wanted a computer, and they figured out how to build a computer. Then they figured out they could sell the computers to other people, and that's how we kind of spun out of there. There are other tools, actually, that I will discuss later. But also, now, anybody can do it. Before, you have to have certain expertise in order to build things on your computers. And actually, anyone could do it before, but now even more people can do it. We have things like Cloud Code that allow you to write code without looking at the code. I don't trust it in full systems yet, but I trust it for very specific tasks that I know the output and I know what the code is supposed to do, and I trust it for those things. AI is not a magic 8-ball where you just give it something and it figures everything out. You still have, if you don't understand it, over time, as the system gets more complex, it's actually getting worse and worse for you because it will end up breaking. At least for now. Eventually, these tools will get better, so it doesn't. But it's important to keep that consideration in mind, that you have to build things with the knowledge of what you're doing. There's this thing, I didn't come up with that term, the AI did. It calls it citizen toolsmiths. You notice the friction, you glue existing tools, you find things you can use to build it, and you share the final result. You don't need permission to start. Anyone here can just get on their computer. Like I said, there are a bunch of things built into your computer that if you don't go deeper, you're never going to know. You can actually just start building applications without downloading anything to your computer, and it's going to work out of the box. But you just have to figure out how to do it. There are a few things. Yes, this is where I was talking about, where every tool started from someone just having an idea, which is Slack. Initially, they started as a gaming company, and they had an internal chat where they would communicate with one another, and eventually they figured out they could monetize this internal chat because their gaming company was crashing. So they did that, and they spun Slack out of that. Even recently, Windsurf used to have Codium, and that was their entire platform, but they figured out we could just build an agentic code editor, and now they're actually officially Windsurf. They're no longer Codium. So they just migrated to a new system. Git I think he built it in a weekend or a week. The guy who invented Linux, he was just like, I need a version control system, and he built that. as a side project to what he was originally building. Gmail was just one of the Google employees was working at 20% of his time was spent on it, and he eventually spun out Gmail, and that has become its own massive, amazing thing. And your next script could be the next Git. So, oh, that's nice. I haven't said it out loud, so I didn't know it rhymed. There are a few things I just want to give, like some case studies of things I've worked on that I've compounded over time, knowingly or unknowingly. So a few years ago, I was playing around with a programming language called Rust, and I was trying to figure out, like, what can I do with it? And I had, at HVL, we start a lot of new projects. And one problem we had is every time I had to figure out how to rename all the files, like strategically. So I had to name it a certain thing, and I could do find and replace, but it actually doesn't replace everything depending on what you're working on, or it doesn't replace it correctly. So I wanted to be able to give it a name, and it will replace every single thing in that file, but also replace the folder names and everything. And I spent time working on that, and now I use it every single time we're starting a new project. I just run that script. It's on my Mac, and like I just right-click on it. I built it into the system, so I can just right-click on the folder and rename every single thing in it. That has saved so much time and effort, because if whenever someone new just comes in to the team, I'm just like, oh, we have something here that we can just use to replace every single occurrence of it in the file name, in the folder names, in the file. Oh, that's a problem. Anyways, it did the wrong images for the other one. I'll explain why in a bit. So Firefox has a bug called, like, if you try to swipe back, normally in Chrome you can swipe back to go to the previous page, but I've been using Firefox, and it actually has a bug where it doesn't work properly until you run this script. So I just built that into my Mac, where it runs at every login, and I didn't remember it until I was looking at through my projects list, and I saw, oh, this is a useful thing that I've totally forgotten about, but I built it like nearly 2 years ago, and I just totally forgot about it. It's just running on every Mac. Every time I move to a new Mac, it just runs automatically, and that's like something that has compounded over time, but it's very small. And there's some tools that I can't discuss because my boss is right there, and like I don't want to get in trouble. But I want to give everyone a challenge this week. Just like invent a mini universe. Think of a task that's nagging you. You have tools. You have AI tools. You don't have to know how to code. You don't know how to. It doesn't even have to be a coding thing. It could be a physical thing, like in the world. Think of something, build it, and automate it, and share it. Share it with someone. It could be your coworker. It could be your spouse or your friends. Just share it with them and try to build it. I think there's, for a while when I was, for a few years, I was kind of getting nervous about building because I was so focused on how can this make money for the company versus how can I enjoy what I'm building. And I think if we don't build things that bring joy, we're all going to end up like in this world where things are just purely structured to make as much money as possible. So the product doesn't have to have any value to the world. As long as you think you can do it, just try to do it. And that's just a challenge I'm inviting everyone to do. And this is what I was saying. So this entire presentation was built with an internal tool that I worked on because I hate building slides, and I was like, I don't want to build slides. And I just made a tool that just builds slides for me. I can give it anything I want, give it the images, give it the text, and it would build it for me. And so we eat our own dog food here. And that's just something for emphasis. So that is why these images were split, because I was going through the slide, reading the text. I didn't check the images to make sure they were right. This one's supposed to be on this slide. Anyways, thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions? Well,
So do you think there is an actual return on the time invested into these tools because you stay like more enthused about your job and what you're doing?
oh yes, there is a mental return and there is a time return. When I think I don't advise it, but a bunch of us, three of us at our on the prototyping team at HVL have been staying in late in the office because we're enjoying the current project we're working on. And that has been, so there is a return because it doesn't feel like you're working. It feels like to me, it's like playing video games, what we're working on. It's like, oh, I'm solving this puzzle and I'm doing this thing that I enjoy doing. So there is a quote unquote return, but there is also the joy return, if that makes sense. But yeah. Any questions? Thank you. I will when I clean it up. Because I created it this week because I didn't want to create the slides.